let's get to creating a simulation. I'm excited to show you how easy it is to create one. So here you'll see all the list of phishing campaigns that have ever been created. And to create a new one, we're going to launch a simulation. Let's talk about phishing techniques or social engineering techniques. The default is credential harvest. This is also what we recommend as a best practice. Credential harvesting techniques for social engineering pretends to be a legitimate email from a source that you usually know, Microsoft, LinkedIn, Google, something that you may expect to receive in your work inboxes. It contains a link to a message that the user can click that asks them for an email and password. So that is credential harvesting. There are other types of social engineering tactics. It can be malware attachment. It can be a link in attachment, a link to a malware, or a drive-by URL. All of these types of techniques aim to do one thing, make you click on something you don't want to so that the bad actors can take over your computer or infect your computer with something malicious wherein they can breach your security and obtain confidential information, or even worse, financial information. So in this demo, we're going to do a credential harvest. You want to name the simulation. So let's do July 2025 phishing campaign. And I put a month because we recommend as a best practice to create simulation at least once a month. This will keep your employees on their toes, making sure they know how to spot phishing emails and remember to report it to IT security. After you name the simulation, you'll be brought to a page to select the payload and the login page. Because it is credential harvesting, we have a login page. So let's take a look at booking.com. It is summer. A lot of people are going vacation, so they may have some bookings that they are expecting emails from. So the predicted compromise rate for this verification of booking.com account is 14.92%. This is the email that they are going to be receiving. The email subject is verification of booking.com account. And we'll take a look at the login page here and see if it's booking.com. It's not. We can change the login page. That's one of the customizations. And you have a few to choose from. A non-branded login page. You can preview that. A LinkedIn or a GitHub login page. But Microsoft is the default one. So earlier, I created a booking.com login page. So it is consistent with the email, and our users may be duped into typing in. So we want to make sure our employees are very vigilant with the type of emails they use and interact with. So now it's set to booking.com. We'll save it. So payload and login page are all set. We're going to close out on that. And we'll move on to targeting our users. You can choose to include all your users in your organization. Because attack simulation training is part of Microsoft, you will have access to all of the email addresses within your organization. But if you look at this, there are conference rooms that really doesn't make sense for me to test. Those are just email addresses and they're not actual people. So I would like to include only specific users and groups. In this case, I would like to use the Contasso team user group. So I will add that user. And I also want to make sure that I am included, and my persona is Adele Vance. And I add Adele. So now we have two recipients, a user group and one user. I do not want to exclude anyone, but this is another way that you can manage your campaign. If you want to include all users and just exclude the conference rooms, that's another way to handle it. We've selected the payload, the login page, chosen who we're going to be sending the emails to. Now we want to understand what training we want to assign our users. Microsoft can assign training for you, or you can select it yourself. We usually select our training courses ourselves, so it is related to the phishing simulation. You have a choice if you want to do 7, 15, or 30 days. So 15 days is what I will choose for one of our clients. For example, their employees work in shifts. So it's not a normal Monday to Friday, 9 to 5 job. It is shifting. So Some people work a week on and then a week off. So if you keep it to 7 days, simulation may end even before their email has been seen by the employee. So we'll do 15 days. This also works for like hospital settings where you may have people working 4 days on, 4 days, 3 days off, 10 days on, 5 days off. So various schedules. We'll take a look at what training assignment. Because we decided to choose our own trainings, you can add training and select from recommended or all trainings. If you look at all trainings, there's a few more items to choose from. And because in booking.com, we are looking at possibly identity theft if our users submit their email addresses and their passwords, I think it's appropriate to provide an identity theft training. So you can add more than one training, just keep choosing more. In our case, we just want, this is how it would look. We just want one training. You can choose to assign to all users, people who click on the phishing link, click the payload, or people who submitted credentials, supplied credentials, and they're called compromised. So as a best practice, we want to provide training to those who took action that was incorrect. Let them know, why is this something you don't want to interact with, except to report phishing, and what to do next time. So we'll click on next, and we'll see the fish landing page selection option. So I think I showed to you one of the landing pages, and this is how it looks like. And what we will do right now is include a logo of Change Champions to make it more familiar with our people. So if we look at it again, there's now Change Champions in the landing page that informs the users, oops, you clicked on the fish that looks like this. And we have assigned training, so please complete that now or add to your calendar. So that's what we choose. One other thing we want to point out is add payload indicators. Payload indicators just point out what is wrong with this email that indicates it is a phishing attempt. So it is a teachable moment for our users. The last notification we have a choice on is the end user notification. So we want to customize the end user notifications. It can be just the Microsoft default notifications, so you don't have to think about it. In this case, we want to assign the training. And then we want to send training reminders. You can do twice a week reminders before the due date or weekly reminders. Because we did set 15 days for them to complete the training, we want to remind them if they have not completed to do so. Positive reinforcement. I talked about this earlier during content library discussion. We want to deliver during the simulation if the user reports a phish. So that's something we want them to do. And we reinforce it by telling them, yeah, you did right. So we want to acknowledge that you did the right thing by reporting this phish. This payload that has a snapshot of the booking.com was something that we should be suspicious about, so we want to report it. We're nearing the end, so just configure the launch details and then we're almost ready to launch our campaign. You can choose to launch this simulation right in 2 clicks, or you can choose to schedule the simulation to be launched later. As a best practice, we schedule monthly and we select a launch date based on our calendar. So we have an overall view of when simulations are going to be launched, how long does it last, when does training begin, when is the training due date, and then do the cycle again for the next month. So for example, we want to set it up, let's say 2 days from now, and you can choose the time of day that you want to launch it, AM. You set the number of days to end the simulation. So when you end a simulation, attack simulation training stops collecting data. The users will not receive reinforcement or training information anymore. So the shortest is 2 days. The standard time we provide our clients is 7 days. But we do find most people, once they receive an email, take action within minutes. This is mainly to extend, again, the opportunity for those who may be off on the day that you sent the email to still review what they've received in their inboxes. So if it begins on the 17th, it'll end on the 24th for 7 days. If your user base works in various time zones. You can enable region-aware time zone delivery, so it will be sent to their inboxes at 10:15 their time. Okay. So because we want to wear the hat of the user, I'm going to launch the simulation as soon as I'm done. So we'll see it in Adele's email right after we finish this topic. Okay, it's important to send a test, so I will do that. So you can see, especially if you're doing things in a hurry, that you got the right email payload, the right users before you submit, especially if you're launching the simulation right away. If you make a mistake and you schedule it, you can always cancel. But once it's launched, it's launched. And that's it. We have launched our campaign to test our users for phishing email simulation using attack simulation training. We are done. It'll show up in your simulations page, July 2025. Give it a few minutes to run. So it's scheduled. It will be in progress after a few minutes. And we've had a couple of items completed. So before we talk about report, I will switch over to my mailbox and see what type of emails have been sent. So we just did this. I sent a sample to myself earlier, so we don't have to wait. This is an example of a test email. Yeah. So it only shows you the type of email that is there. Now, if we're looking at the July phishing campaign, so I'll take a look at something that I had sent earlier. Verify your booking account. Oh, it is a credential harvest. So I'm the user. Oh, okay, I have vacation scheduled. Let me log into my booking.com and put in the test. And when I sign in, uh-oh, here's the landing page that we notified. From Change Champions, you were phished. It's okay. Let's learn from this. Look at this email and notice that the domain says passportal.org instead of booking.com, as you would expect. Copyright set 2024, and it's not so realistic, especially with a domain name. So because I clicked and submitted credentials, we'll go to training. Remember, we also just assigned training to people who clicked on payload. So even if they don't type in their email addresses or usernames, they will still receive training. Well, once they click that link, they will be directed to the training page, and we can take a look at finishing the training. So we will not take the time to complete this right now. It takes a couple of minutes to complete that.